Hi, my name is Rico Canero, and I'm the author of a book called The Legend of Cowfoot Woman and the Soldier Crab. This book was based on a story that was told to me as a child by the late great Senator Elmo D. Roebuck of the Virgin Islands. And it begins. One bright sunny day on the small Caribbean island of St. Thomas, a little girl named Savannah was relaxing at Megan's Bay Beach with her grandfather. As they relaxed and enjoyed the sounds of the waves, the cool tropical breeze, and powder white sand as it rustled between their toes, Savannah noticed the little crab scooting by. She asked her grandfather, "Grandpa, why does that crab wear a shell on its back?" The grandfather replied, "That's called a soldier crab, and he wears a shell on his back just like a soldier wears a helmet on its head. It's for protection." Savannah then gently picked up the crab by its shell and examined it a bit closer. She noted that the crab's eyes protruded out of its head almost like two little antennae or periscopes. Savannah then said, "I understand why it's called a soldier crab and why it wears a shell, but why does its eyes stick out like that?" Grandpa replied, "Well, my dear child, now that's a very different story altogether. Would you like to hear it?" Excitedly, Savannah exclaimed, "Yes, yes, please tell me the story." Grandpa leaned in a bit closer and told Savannah and began. "Once upon a time, many, many years ago, there was a small village in the countryside called Tutu. And in this village lived a young boy named Jackie and his little sister Lisa. Every day, Jackie and Lisa would hold hands and walk to and from school. You see, their school was quite a far away from their home, and it was very important for them to walk together to keep each other's company and to make sure that Lisa would not get lost, since she was so small and did not know the way home on her own. Every day as they walked home from school, Lisa, who loved pretty flowers, would stop constantly to pick some that grew along the path that they traveled. This would oftentimes upset Jackie, who would fuss at her for slowing him down. Sometimes he would even threaten to go home without her if he kept stopping. Jackie would also try to get Lisa to hurry up by telling her stories about a very mean and elderly witch or obeah woman who many people believed to live in the woods. It is said that the Cowfoot woman has a limp and walks with a crooked cane. Made from a thorny cassia tree branch, she is also said to be covered in dirt and leaves that gives off a terrible scent. All of the children on the island believes that she snatches any small children that she finds in the woods. Even the children as far away as the island of St. Croix know about her, and they gave her another name, the Goatfoot Woman. Regardless of what you call her, she's believed to hide in the bushes near shortcuts and elementary schools, waiting for mischievous children to pass by. Some children believe that she hides up in the tip-top branches of kenep trees, tamarind trees, mango trees, and others, waiting for some unsuspecting child to come by and try to steal a snack. Others believe that she can disappear from one place and instantly reappear in another. Some even believe that she can transform into a bat and fly from one branch to another without rustling the leaves. Some kids make up their own stories about her, saying things like, "She's as strong as a bull and can pull a full-grown shak-shak tree right out of the ground with her bare hands." Others say that she's sly like a mongoose and her feet don't touch the ground and make any noise when she walks by. One kid even said that the old woman knows magic and can turn a child into a long black gongolo. The one thing that all the children agree upon is that you will never see her coming, and by the time she's finally there, it's too late to do anything about it. In an animated fashion, Jackie told Lisa these stories and warned her to stop picking those stupid flowers and hurry up so they could get home from school. Jackie's stories would sometimes scare Lisa and even get her attention for a brief minute or two. But before long, she would once again get distracted, and by the next pretty flower she saw. In fact, she did not care much about Jackie's ridiculous stories. All she knew is that she likes pretty flowers, and flowers are beautiful things. One day, that started off just as normal as any other day, Jackie and Lisa were on their way home from school, and Lisa, as usual, was stopping to pick flowers. The only thing different about today was that their mother had made some delicious pineapple, guava, and coconut tarts the night before. Yum, yum. She had told Jackie that he could have as much as he wanted to eat when they got home from school that day. Jackie, who loved his mother's delicious treats, was especially eager to get home that day. And today, he was becoming especially angry quickly, very quickly, because Lisa, as usual, stopped to pick flowers. As Lisa was picking her usual bouquet of flowers, she noticed that everything seemed to be in bloom that day and were especially bright and colorful. Lisa found hibiscus, bougainvilleas, flamboyants, jasmine, oleanders, and many other flowers that she had never seen along that path before. She thought to herself that she would pick some of these beautiful flowers and give them to her mother as a special present for baking them the tarts. She also noticed that the further into the woods she went, the more colorful and fragrant the flowers became. It had been a long day at school, and Jackie was very hungry and becoming extremely impatient with Lisa because she was taking so long. That's when he decided that today was going to be that day that he was going to teach her a lesson and walk home without her. Lisa was so distracted and mesmerized by all the vibrant colors and beautiful smells that she did not even notice when Jackie left. In only a few minutes, Lisa had picked so many flowers that she could barely hold all of them in her tiny hands. Her floral bouquet was becoming so beautiful and that she decided to pick some for everyone in her family. Before long, Lisa had collected the most incredible assortment of flowers ever. With a look of great pride and satisfaction on her face, she said, "Everyone is going to love their flowers." She turned around and started to head back to the main path, but then realized that it was now much later and it was also starting to get very dark. Because she was so distracted by all the flowers, Lisa had not paid much attention to how she was going to find her way back. Panicked, she dropped all of the flowers and started to run. Her running did little more than cause her to get even more lost in the woods. Afraid and alone, Lisa began to cry. She feared the worst. She thought about the Cowfoot woman that her brother had warned her about and the many awful things that the witch would do to children if she ever caught them in her woods. Lisa had become so scared and frustrated that she plopped down to the ground, covered her face, and began to cry. With all her sobbing, Lisa did not notice an old woman with a disfigured leg had silently walked up right behind her. Startled half to death, she heard a voice say, "What are you doing out here in the woods? And especially so late at night?" Trembling, Lisa replied, "I'm lost and cannot find my way back home." In a stern voice, the old woman said, "I can see that you've been picking my flowers, and the most beautiful ones at that." Then in a calculating tone, the old woman said, "I can help you find your way home, but first, I'll make a deal with you." Lisa wiped her tears and listened carefully. "I'll give you 3 guesses. If you can correctly guess my name, I'll show you how to get home. However, if you cannot guess my name, then you will have to stay here with me and do my bidding. I'll give you 3 guesses every day, so you can keep trying as long as you want." Lisa stopped crying for a moment to consider the old woman's proposal. By now, she had figured out that this scary old woman with the funny limp was most certainly the Cowfoot woman. Being as lost as she was, she felt that she had no other choice but to accept the old woman's proposal. With a grin, the old woman said, "Good. Now go ahead and make your 3 guesses. And be quick about it. I'm cooking a big fat iguana for dinner and I want to get back home before it gets cold." Lisa thought for a second before asking, "Is your name Barbara?" The old woman replied, "No, no, no. Guess again." Lisa then asked, "Is your name Juliet?" Again, the scary old woman responded, "Wrong, wrong, wrong. Now make your last guess." And with the last guess, Lisa asked, "Is your name Alice?" "Absolutely not. Now come along. My iguana stew is waiting." Walking with a cane that was made with the branch of a acacia tree, the old woman led the way. She pointed her cane and said, "Walk this way. I have lots of work for you to do." Several days went by, and each day the old woman would allow Lisa to make 3 guesses. But each time the old woman would respond with a loud no, 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 or wrong, wrong, wrong. Needless to say that after only a few days, Lisa had become very discouraged. Her tiny hands, arm, and back were now very sore from all the hard work the old woman was having her do. She also started to miss her family, her friends, her schoolmates, and she even began to miss her brother Jackie and his fussing. Early one morning, while collecting water at a nearby pond called Reef Bay, Lisa's arms were so sore from all the hard work, she could hardly carry the heavy bucket filled with water. As she had done every day since getting lost in the woods, Lisa bowed her head and started to cry. Out of nowhere came a friendly voice saying, "Don't cry, little girl. Tell me, what's your name?" As Lisa looked around, she could not see who was talking to her. Again, she heard the little voice, "I'm over here, down on the ground." Lisa then looked down and saw a little crab about the size of a golf ball. Lisa was shocked that a crab could talk, so she asked, "How is it possible that you, being a crab, can talk?" The crab responded, "All animals and plants, trees here in the woods can talk. We just choose not to let people hear when we do so. So I ask you again, little girl, why are you crying?" Lisa wiped away her tears and said, "The wicked old witch is making me work so hard, and she will not help me find my way home until I can guess her name." "Is that all?" the crab replied. "First of all, she is not a witch. She's actually a Taino Indian princess. In fact, she's the very last of her tribe. All of the other Taino were hunted down and killed many, many years ago by the explorers that first came to the islands. When the explorers landed their ships on St. Croix, many Taino villages were either captured, killed, or fled, leaving her as the last one left alive from her village. She injured her legs while escaping and has walked with a cane and a limp ever since. As a matter of fact, she's also very angry at me as well, because she once accidentally tripped over one of my holes that I dug in the ground to sleep at night. These days, she spends most of her time amongst the beautiful flowers and takes care of each and every one of them like they were her family or her children. That must be why she is so upset with you, because by picking the flowers, you are killing them instead of just letting them live and appreciating them for the beautiful gift that they are. We, the trees, plants, and animals of the forest, understand that people sometimes need to pick plants to make medicine for the sick, or sometimes you need to chop down a tree to make a house. We even understand that sometimes people need to kill a fish, bird, or deer in order to have food to eat. However, what we do not understand is why they sometimes kill us for nothing more than sport or entertainment. You see, what you did to the flowers was exactly the same thing that the explorers did to her Taino people. If you look at the carvings on these rocks, you will see where it tells the history of the great Taino people that once lived here. The old woman, along with a few trees and one or two of us animals in the woods, are the only ones old enough to still remember how to read this ancient language and symbols. Would you like to know what it says? "Yes, Mr. Crab, please tell me," Lisa explained. "It says the old woman's real name is Princess Taina, but everyone here in the woods call her Granny Sagando, last of the Taino." In hearing that, Lisa became so excited that she picked up the little crab and kissed him over and over, saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Lisa was so excited that with re-energized energy, she grabbed the bucket of water and took off running back to the old woman's house, splashing water everywhere along the way. Reaching the old woman's house in record time, Lisa dropped the pail of water at her feet and said to the old woman, "I'm ready for my 3 guesses." The old woman replied, "I don't see why you're so anxious to make your guesses today. You'll never guess my name, not in a million years." "That's besides the point," Lisa said. "You promised to give me 3 guesses every day, and it's 3 guesses that I want to make." Lisa then gave her first guess. "Is your name Catherine?" "No, no, no. Wrong as usual. Guess again." Lisa then said, "Is your name Olivia?" The old woman laughed. "Not even close. In fact, I think that's your worst guess so far. Now make your final guess so I can get back to my business instead of wasting my time with you." Lisa then said, "If your name is not Barbara or Olivia or Victoria or Alice or any of the other names that I guess, then I guess your name must be Granny Sogando, last of the Taino." When the old woman heard her name, her head snapped around. "What? Who told you my name? Who has betrayed my secret? Just wait until I find out who told you. I'm going to get them and get them good, I will." Knowing that she had to live up to her promise, the old woman took Lisa back to the edge of the woods where she had first gotten lost. As fate would have it, Lisa was just in time to meet her brother Jackie as he was walking home from school that day. "Lisa," Jackie explained, "where have you been? Everyone has been looking everywhere for you. We thought for sure that the Cowfoot woman had gotten a hold of you and that we would never see you again." "Don't worry, Jack," Lisa said. "From now on, I will never again stray into the woods. And more importantly, I will only look at the flowers and not pick them. An old witch, a princess and a little crab taught me that." And together they walked home holding hands, this time with Jackie holding tightly onto his precious little sister's hand. Back deep in the woods, the old woman was still furious about what had happened. She decided to question every single animal that she came across. Using her magical spells, she compelled them to confess if they were the ones that had told the little girl her name. Eventually, she came across an iguana and quickly placed a spell on him, chanting, "Look into my eyes. You cannot tell me lies. Are you the one that told the little girl my name?" "No, Granny," said the iguana. "It was not me that told the girl your name." The old woman then let the iguana go, and she continued on. She then came across two birds, a trushy and a yellowbreast. Again, the old woman worked her magic. "Look into my eyes. You cannot tell me lies. Did you tell the little girl my name?" The two birds replied, "No, Granny, it was not us that told the little girl your name." After a few hours of casting her spell and questioning every single bird, iguana, mongoose, donkey, and lizard that lived in the woods, the old woman decided to stop and rest for a minute and get a drink of water to quench her thirst. Hiding nearby was the little soldier crab with a look of sheer terror on his face. Out of the corner of her eyes, she saw something rustling in the bushes. When she parted the guinea grass, she found the little crab trembling with fear. The old woman then confronted the little crab and casted her spell upon him. "Look into my eyes. You cannot tell me lies. Did you tell the little girl my name?" The crab could see that the safety of his hold in the ground was several feet away, so he tried his best to resist her spell. "Little girl? What little girl?" "Granny, I don't know what you're talking about." The old woman could tell that the crab was trying to hide something, so she cast an even stronger spell over him, and this time in a form of a hypnotic song. "Crab, crab, wayo, tell the gal me name Granny Sogando, la saretaino. You slinga, you tinga, and tell me who done so." This spell was much more powerful than the first, and the little crab found it almost impossible to resist her commands. The crab tried again to stall for time by saying, "Oh, that little girl. Why didn't you just say so? I did see a little girl earlier, but she was crying and I didn't say anything to her." As the crab was saying this, he was also creeping ever so closer to the safety of his hole in the ground. The old woman realized that she was about to get him to confess, so again she sang her spell, but this time even louder. "Crab, crab, wayo, tell the gal me name Granny Sogando, la saretaino. You slinga, you tinga, now tell me who done so." With that, the little crab looked Granny dead in the eyes and said, "Yes, it was me, and what are you going to do about it?" The little crab took one more step and dove towards his hole in an attempt to escape, but before he could make it all the way down to his hole, Granny swung her cane and hit him squarely on the back. Before she could rear back and hit him again, he finally made it into the hole and to safety. Savannah's grandfather then stood up and said, "So to answer your question, my dear, the reason soldier crabs have eyes that stick up in the air is so that they can always be on the lookout for Granny. Some people say she's still very angry and is out there looking for any crab and any little boy or girl that may be straying into her woods. And as the old people used to say, and the wheel bend and the story end. Thank you.